Hello boys and girls, I'm Miss Shiela and welcome to the Colleton County Memorial Library's YouTube channel. So join Miss Literacy as she learns something new about raised beds, flowers, and more. So Miss Literacy learns from the Shelleys. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you will too. So sit back, listen, and relax. So I learned about raised beds, butterfly and bird flowers, and healthy eating with the Shelleys. Gill and Sandy Shelley are the neighbors of my Aunt L. Florence Oliver. You're going to find out a lot. And this is Thor. Hi, we are with our neighbor to my Auntie L's house, and his name is Mr. Gill Shelley. Hi, Mr. Shelley.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Fine. And he's such a great neighbor, him and his wife. They are awesome, and they have a wonderful garden, and they often share. So let's go to Mr. Shelley's garden.
Back before we built all this, it's the weeds that built up. He hid in the weeds. That's why we call it Thor's garden. He was almost always here.
Hello!
Hi.
We are at the Shelleys with
Gill
and Sandy.
We are so glad to see you and happy to be here. You see, boys and girls, these are my auntie's neighbors, and they are such good neighbors. So let's see what they have in their beautiful garden. First, can you tell us what this garden is called?
We call this Thor's garden. Thor is our cat, and when I first moved here, he was injured. He was injured real badly, and so I started feeding him because he was wild. And every once in a while I would come out, and there had been an old garden here. It was just a regular garden over this area, and it was all weedy. And Thor would hide out here, and the only thing I could see was his eyes. And
Ooh.
so he liked to hide down in the grass, and he would wait, and I would bring some food out to him out underneath the barn, and he would eat. He kind of needed help with the food for a little while until he got better, and so I started calling it Thor's garden, and as time went on, that just became the name.
Well, I can't wait to see what you have in store.
So these are squash, just regular garden squash. And Sandy and I are trying an experiment this year because we have a real bad problem in South Carolina with squash vine borers. The adults lay their eggs in the soil, and they come up and they drill holes in the squash and kill the plant. But this is weed barrier like you would use in landscaping. Our philosophy is we're trying to keep the eggs from coming up to the plant. I have no idea if it's going to work or not, but so far so good. It's been several years since we've been able to get squash to this size. Now there's also a top that goes over it, but Thor, the garden cat, likes to pull it off and sleep on it.
Hold it off.
It's over there. But we're trying to just exclude the squash vine borer. And so far, I don't see any signs of damage. Do you?
Not at all. And we've got some tiny little squash down here.
Yeah, we've already got a squash coming on.
These are little sunburst squash. That's a tiny one right there, and there's another one right there. Those were flowers that got pollinated, and we've already got several little squash.
Yeah, see that. Normally by this time, the squash plants are ready to just flop over because they've been eaten from the inside out.
Wow. So how long have you been doing this beautiful gardening?
Well, I have 2 degrees in gardening, one in soil science and one in plant science. And I've been doing this almost 50 years.
Awesome.
I taught college in how to grow vegetables, and this is kind of my dream project I've wanted to do for years. It's just now starting its 3rd year. It's not completely done yet, as you can see.
Well, I think it's beautiful. Let's go and look.
Called a raised bed garden. Each bed 4 by 4 with 16 square feet. As you can see, it's not completely done yet. and it's 260 square feet, but it's very intensely managed, and it produces enough vegetables that I don't think we've bought a single vegetable in almost 2 years.
Wow.
Right now you're seeing it in the transition from winter to summer.
I see that.
So a lot of the things just came out that were past their prime.
Wow.
The reason he's called Thor is that when he was really badly injured, Sandy used to be a neonatal nurse, and they would give the babies power names to try to give them strength. So she called him Thor, which is kind of ironic because he's terrified of thunder.
Awesome. I love spinach. Tell us, what type of spinach are these?
Okay. This one is an old variety called Seaside. It's been around for a long time. And it's about the normal size. This is a common commercial variety if you went to buy spinach in the grocery store.
Right, and can you eat it?
Just talk away.
Mmm, it's delicious.
And this one's called Noble Giant. And it's almost 3 times bigger. These are both were planted at the exact same time. Wow. It's a little more mild than the old school spinach.
I love it. Thank you. Mr. Gill, these are beautiful. Tell us about these.
Well, these are Sandy's snapdragons. They're the biggest ones I've ever seen. I had that bucket there so I could take a picture to show her how big they are. She's out of the state right now, but I've never seen, normally that would be considered big, but these just got huge for some reason, and they're the same variety.
Miss Sandy is his wife, so boys and girls, they're both cool neighbors.
This is Sandy's fairy garden.
Wow.
He kind of considers the fairy garden his garden. Before they reach maturity, but they're very sweet and tasty in August. In fact, your Uncle Nathan likes to come by and just pick one for dessert, and so do we.
Good.
Okay. I love lavender, and I think a lot of people do.
I do too.
And I decided to grow as many beds of lavender as I can because there's so many things you can use lavender for. It's actually blooming right now. You caught it when it's blooming. When all of these come out fully and develop into beautiful little blossoms, then they'll be very fragrant. Right now they already are. And once that they come completely out, you cut the lavender down till there's about 4 inches left at the base, and you can dry all of the leaves as well. They're wonderfully smelling. And then the tops, I've made things like lavender wands out of them that you can put in your lingerie drawer, or in your drawers to keep your things smelling good.
Yeah.
And keeps moths. So I told you about the lavender out in the garden, and this is one thing that I sometimes make out of the lavender that I get. In the spring, I make a lavender wand. We put the lavender flowers in there, and we weave a little ribbon right around them, and then you squeeze it, and it smells just like lavender, just like it did before when you first started. And I would like for you to have one of these, Miss Sheila.
Oh, thank you, Miss Sandy. Let me smell it. Oh my goodness, it's awesomely good.
I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad. Lavender's very soothing. I've made lavender salve. There's all different kinds of ways of doing that. It makes some infusions. And this lavender bed is really starting to take off. We planted it last year.
And it smells wonderful.
Yes.
This is actually 2 years old.
That's right, that's right.
The object is we're going to have the garden completely surrounded
With lavender?
a lavender bed. As you can see, it's a work in progress.
But guess what? That is a grand idea.
Yes.
Grand idea.
Yes. Well, this elderberry blossom is positively the most delicate fragrance you will ever smell. It's hard to describe, really. It's just very, very light fragrance of elderberries.
Okay, Mr. Shelley, this looks so beautiful, and you have it so nicely decorated. Tell us about
That's to
this.
keep the cat out because he wants to sleep on the onion. He likes to eat onions.
Oh,
Never seen that before. But the way to make onions grow good here, onions come in long day neutral and short day. And people grow the wrong varieties here. We can only really grow short day varieties. So what you do is they go through a vegetative phase where they grow the leaves. Remember, every leaf is one layer of the onion. Okay. So you want to get as much green as you can. Then when the days start to get shorter after June 21st, after we go through the equinox, then it goes into bulbing stage and we start making the bulbs. So the time to plant onions here is in November. Everybody plants them in April and then wonder why they can't get any onions. It's all about how many leaves you can grow. And this is the onion patch. These are Grand X onions. They're the same onions that Vidalia onions are, only we're not in Vidalia, Georgia. So they're Dorchester onions.
Nice. Are they just as tasty and seasoned just as good?
You'll have to ask the cooking expert.
They are by far. They are very delicious. And I've already used one last week. I go ahead and start pulling them early because I like green onions and all kinds of cooking. So, yeah, and we have a little portulaca over there. That's just a little flower.
Little thing for the bees.
We try to keep the bees happy, so they'll come visit our garden.
Awesome.
And if you look down here, you can see that the onions are starting to bulb. They go through 2 growth cycles. The first is they grow leaves, and then the leaves become the onion bases. And as the days start to get shorter, we're here in the 1st of June, so a little less daylight, that triggers them to start bulbing.
And you don't pick them now? You wait till later?
What we basically do is just leave them in the garden and take them as we need them.
Got it.
Oh.
We kind of like just fresh cooking. I love to just decide what I'm going to fix for supper and come out and pick it.
Well, a lot of times what we have for supper depends on what's out here ready to go.
I love that. Got it.
And there's always flowers. We always put some flowers in the garden, just make it pretty.
All right, let's go and look.
You look great.
Yeah, you really do. Let's.
I had a honeybee.
Yeah. is still in it.
And he didn't want to go away.
Oh.
He wanted to stay in the gladolia.
I would want to stay in that too. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes. He wanted to pollinate it very well, and he wasn't happy that I had taken it away. And I don't know if you've noticed in the background, that's a wood thrush right behind you.
Both of them.
You hear his song? He sounds like a little flute.
Oh wow.
That's a wood thrush.
Wow.
He's the neighborhood wood thrush. And he sings beautifully all through the summer. This is gladolia, and this is these we've got planted all over the yards.
Okay.
Mr. Gill over there decided he was going to do kind of like an Easter egg hunt and just plant them everywhere. And then when they popped up, we'd find out what color they were and see them, so they're kind of like surprise Easter eggs.
Love
When
it.
they come up, we get to see what color they are.
I love it.
And the bees love them too. And this is verbena. Verbena grows extremely well here. It's just bright and colorful. Right, in this bed, and I'm going to mention while I'm at it with the raised beds, the reason we did the raised beds out of bricks was because that was what we had here on the property. But you could make a raised bed garden out of just pieces of lumber. You can do it with whatever you've got as far as resources. You can make them as long as you have 4 sides, and you can put your good soil inside that raised bed. It makes a wonderful addition to the house. And the main thing is that when I first moved here, we had a whole lot of wet weather, and it flooded out here. I had to cut an alley all the way around it just to get the water off of the plants, and a lot of the plants died anyway. And this year it rained just as much. The water was all up in the grass, and plants were just fine. We had a winter garden here, and we had absolutely no problem with them drowning because they're up above the rest of the lawn, so we had no problems with it. These are peppers. Okay, these are green beans that are already putting out lots and lots of flowers. The bees really like them right now. And here we're already starting to get some little beans, very tiny little beans, green beans, but these will all produce a whole lot of beans probably within the next week or two. And they'll get big enough that we have to keep on picking them, but you can see they've got flowers all over them, so they're ready to go. And mixed with them are tomatoes.
Oh.
We've got lots of tomatoes already growing. Big green tomatoes that are going to be turning red here within the next few weeks. And they're all mixed together. That way they kind of shade each other. They seem to kind of like to be concentrated. And again, one thing that's really nice about it is if these were all in rows, we would have several rows taking up quite a bit of space. And because they're all together like this, we get as many beans as you would in a long row of beans.
I think I want to go this route.
Yes, it is.
I love it.
It's a great way to do it.
Raised bed route.
Raised bed route.
And I might add too that we're growing 2 different crops based on their height. These are called indeterminate tomatoes, and if this was long enough, they could go 20 feet tall.
Ooh.
But we'll stop them up here, so these will already be producing beans while the tomatoes are up here, so both crops can live together in harmony.
And they shade each other.
I love it.
Peppers. It's already got the jalapeno pepper right there, and then we have a little banana pepper right over here.
Cool.
Actually, we have 2 of those.
I love banana peppers. They're the
We're gonna
best.
have one in a minute, the first one of the season.
They're really
love it.
good. And then we have other kinds of tomatoes. So, and that's an eggplant right there. We like eggplant pizzas.
Oh.
Slice them and you make little pizzas with them.
Oh.
They're very, very tasty.
We gotta get that recipe,
You don't
Miss
have all the
Sandy.
trouble that you have with growing chickens.
Oh. Got it.
So this is okra. We both love okra. I love fried okra.
Me too. I love it, Miss Andy.
Yes. And this will get up about this tall and start putting out little pods of okra right in the middle. They put really pretty big blossoms out first. And so if you pick them real small, they're really nice and tender. Actually, when they're just 2 inches long, I can pick one in the garden and just eat it right there.
Wow.
It's sweet and it's very tasty. And we like to keep on growing it. It'll get to be about, I guess maybe about 4 foot tall.
Ooh.
And we'll keep on putting out okra all summer long. It's delicious.
I love it. And do you have, I noticed this in a box. How much okra is that? Is by the row? Say that again. I'm gonna take out what I'm saying. Just remember you said it'll grow it down a row or something?
Yes. Since we grow in raised beds like this, if you put all this okra in a row, you would have a fairly long row of okra. Probably
This would spread out on the normal row would probably be 25 feet.
Right, 25 feet of okra in a row. But by putting it all together, it shades out the weeds and they grow very, very well in concentrated form. So that's the advantage of square foot gardening and raised bed gardening, is the fact that they all grow together. They shade out the weeds. You can have them in a very small area. You can have a very nice garden in a very small area just by doing them in concentrated ways like this. So. There's a great big cluster of tomatoes over on that one. Each one of these is labeled. This is a Better Boy tomato, but we have one that just volunteered. It just came up on its own this year. It's probably one that we already had in the compost pile, and it took off, and it's got lots and lots and lots of little green tomatoes, and those will all ripen up pretty soon.
Great.
So each bed has something different in it, and in this one we're growing basil, and we've got radishes. A lot of people don't like radishes, but these radishes taste very good roasted. We do them kind of differently, and we found out that we really like them. I didn't even think I liked radishes. And we're not growing forks. The forks in here are to keep the cat from laying on his bed and incubating his plants.
Cool. I love it. Mr. Gill, what do you have?
This is a type of kale. It's technically called lacinato kale. It's from Italy. This has been grown for thousands of years in Italy. In America, if you look at the leaf texture, it's commonly referred to as dinosaur kale because it kind of looks like an elephant skin. Or
I love that.
Yeah.
And you gave us some, and it is delicious.
Yeah. And it grows, the only kale that grows halfway decent in a warmer weather. I grow it just because I like the way it looks, even if we don't eat it.
I love it.
We're going to go up to the herbal garden right up here. And look at our window box. We have I have strawberries in my herb garden, and I have echinacea, coneflower, and we have fennel that tastes like licorice, but it's real good. It's very tasty. The main reason I grow the fennel is because it's the favorite food of the swallowtail, the black swallowtail butterfly.
Ooh.
This is a butterfly garden. It's for hummingbirds and butterflies. This is all their favorite foods.
Ooh.
This is echinacea right here, and they love that. And this is rude, and that's what monarch butterflies like to land on. They like to put their eggs on it, and the caterpillars eat it all up. And that's okay with me. That's what it's for. It's for their food. And fennel is for the black swallowtails, big, beautiful butterflies. And they have little caterpillars that will eat all of that. And will turn into beautiful beautiful butterflies, and pineapple sage.
Ooh.
All of these things are edible. You can see the strawberries. I'm putting out lots of strawberries right now. And I gave Miss Sheila a couple of strawberries yesterday.
And they're tasty.
She knows what they taste like.
Yes.
But there's some that are just about ripe, and there's lots of flowers. This is garden sage. It's really, really good in dressing.
Wow.
You can use it for other things. This is rosemary. This is prostate straight rosemary, and it's got really pretty blue flowers on it. It's very, very tasty. If you like rosemary. Rosemary is another one of my favorite herbs, and that's easy to grow here. You can see one more of our Easter egg lads.
It's beautiful.
Pretty yellow one. We don't know what the others will be, but that's a very pretty shade of yellow. And then I've got black mint down here. And this is the smell of summer. You put this in iced tea. You put it even in just water. It's just that leaf right there. Just crush it a little bit. It smells so minty and fresh. That's the smell of summer right there.
A beautiful box on your window.
Yeah.
Please talk to us about that.
Yes, this one actually is not as much in bloom, but we have planted this about a week and a half ago. I decided to go with summer theme, so I tried to get as close to blue as possible. These flowers are really a deep purple, but it's close enough to blue that that's the best I can do. These will be white petunias. I put in some little ferny. I think this is horsehair fern, foxtail fern, and then dracaena, just to give it some height, and then a geranium, and that will be all bright red.
Cool.
The one up here is blooming, so you can see a little bit more what the geraniums will look like. A little bit of Spanish moss on it too.
I love it. And Mr. Gill made those?
He put them up.
Oh.
He put these up on the windows for us.
Oh, wow.
It was something that we really thought added a lot of beauty to the house.
It does.
You can have a lot of vertical
Class.
enjoyment of flowers,
Yeah.
besides just on the floor.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely adds class.
okay. I also grow pineapple sage.
Ooh.
This is a big attractant for hummingbirds. They have really, really beautiful little red flowers that come up actually in the fall. And when you pick one of the leaves and you press it just a little bit, it smells just like pineapple.
Oh, wow.
Very, very refreshing.
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
You've given me one. It smells like pineapple.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Miss Sandy, that is so awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, this may seem a little crazy, but Mr. Gill and I have decided to try to grow rice. We love rice, and we're from a part of the country where they used to always grow their rice. And a lot of times we don't appreciate where our food comes from. And this, believe it or not, is a little experiment that we are doing, and we are trying to grow some rice. So Mr. Gill got out a great big pot, and we put about 4 inches of dirt in there, and then we got some Carolina Gold rice seed. We had to order it. It was kind of hard to get a hold of, believe it or not, but we ordered it, and he put it all in there, and we didn't think it was going to grow. We filled it with water because that's what they said to do, and it just went on, and it just looked like a big flat tub of mud. Nothing was coming up. And then about 4 days ago, these little sprouts came up. And that is rice right there. Those are little rice plants. And you put water in it. Now we're going to have to put some little tiny minnows in there to keep the mosquitoes from growing in this, because you're supposed to keep it wet. It's a semi-aquatic plant. So we're going to see how it grows and keep it covered with water to keep the bugs, and mostly it's to keep the bugs out. They like the water, and as it grows it'll get really tall, and then it'll put out rice seed heads, and we'll keep the water floating it to the very top. And then in the fall, in September, supposedly we're going to get rice. So we'll follow it, and I'll let you know how it worked out.
I think that's cool. Who knew all that work came into making rice?
There was so much work. That is one thing you just have to appreciate, is the hard work that so many people in this part of the country did to give us very, very simple food. But they had to flood the fields. They flooded them 3 times. Then they take it all back down. They had to harvest it with sickles. They had to get in there and thresh it really, really hard to get the husk off. They had to throw it up in the air in winnowing baskets. There was so much work involved in doing that. And you just have to appreciate that all of the people that came before us worked so hard just to give us rice.
Wow. All from this one pot with many seeds.
That's right. That's right. Just little ones, and we'll see how it goes. But there they are. So bye, kids. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you had a very good time getting a chance to look at our little garden. Gardening is for everybody. It's for every age. Anybody can do it. You just start out with one little flower in one little corner, and it goes from there. Thank you.
Sheila, thank you for the tour. Enjoyed you being here and doing this. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope to see the kids again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Shelleys. We had so much fun. Didn't you, boys and girls? See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. How are you doing? Did you decide to come out and help us with the garden? Thank you. We appreciate your help. Find you see Miss Shiela. You see Miss Shiela?
Wow.
She's talking about our garden. He kind of considers the fairy garden his garden.
It was nice to have the Heywards and the Handys join me at the Shelley's home. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Shelley and Thor. All right, boys and girls, we're on the countdown to summer reading. Our kickoff party guest is Queen Quet. On June 18th, we want you to join us on the library's lawn at 10 a.m. Tales and tales at the library. Books of fun, so come and see. Yeah, see you at the library. Thanks for listening and learning with Miss Literacy. And remember, summer reading increases your reading skills, motivation, confidence, and enjoyment.